welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another sacred channeling. I know it's been a while since we have done this. I was very busy during the month of May in my physical world and just experiencing a lot of growth and expansion. I've received a lot of understanding and clarity around the journey that I have been sharing over on my main channel, Susan Dawn Spiritual Connections. So do make sure that you are subscribed to both channels so that you don't miss anything. Okay, so what I want to do in this video is kind of just recap all of the information that I have been receiving. It's a lot. It's a lot, I'm not going to lie. It is a lot. So we're going to start, I have some notes here. We're going to start with the readings that we've done this past week. Because I was unexpectedly channeling for the Divine Masculine, the Divine Feminine, and also the Sacred Union as usual, but really the Divine Masculine wanted his own video, and then the Divine Feminine stepped in and was like, wait, me too. I want my own video too. So I channeled for both, and there's been a lot of real peace with this clarity that's come in. I feel like I have been really experiencing this over the past several weeks and months. And so it feels like it's really time to just bring it to the collective and really anchor it in. My understanding has anchored in the past week or so. That clarity has really arrived for me the past week or so, but this has been a process that has been unfolding really for the past year. So, what happened? The Divine Masculine has been experiencing major heart openings and expansions. And what I was experiencing on, I think it was Saturday night when I did that reading, was just, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, just this love from the Divine Masculine energy. Now, remember, when we're talking about masculine and feminine energies, we're talking about your masculine within you and your feminine energy within you. You have both energies within, you are both energies. When you're in sacred partnerships, these twin flame connections, these divine counterpart connections, these sacred partner connections, whatever label you feel comfortable using. I'm kind of reclaiming the twin flame. It has been very hijacked. It has been very convoluted, misconstrued. It has been very manipulated. So I've been reclaiming that twin flame energy or that twin flame label just because I don't want that misconception anymore. Twin flame is not a romantic connection. It can be, as far as how your relationship unfolds or how your partnership unfolds, but it is first and foremost a path to ascension. That's why I call it the Sacred Union Path of Ascension. Not everyone is going to experience ascension in the same way or awakening in the same way. For those who have the sacred partner, it's because you're activated to ascension together, and through your partnership, you heal, you grow, you expand, you experience your awakening, your ascension, your remembrance together. And Moxie's joining us, so we're going to get into it. She's my grounding force. All right, so remember that you hold both energies within you. When you're in that partnership, if you're a divine feminine core essence, that means that your primary essence is that of the feminine energy, but you have both energies within you, and your job is to learn how to balance that into wholeness, but you have that core essence. Your counterpart is going to be the other energy pushed out into another body. I don't want to say the word pushed out anymore. It doesn't feel right. It just feels like embodied in another physical vessel. But they are you. Now, they are the polarity of you. They are in very essence the opposite of you. So you're the feminine, they're the masculine. You're the yin and they're the yang. However it goes, however it resonates for you, whatever core essence you are. So it's going to be that polarity. And what you are remembering, what you're doing on this ascension journey together through your sacred path, is remembering the wholeness within you and that you are always one with your partner. It's very hard because the illusion of the physical 3D world is very thick. And when we are in this matrix, for lack of a better word, when we are in this illusion, this hologram, this simulation, the physical tangible world, a physical form, we look at other people as separate from ourselves. That's what we're transcending on this ascension journey. And it is a journey. It's not a destination. It's not, oh, I'm going to reach enlightenment and then everything's going to be copacetic. It's not a destination. It is an ever evolving journey. And you came here to Earth to experience that duality, to expand and to grow in consciousness as the universe expands and grows in consciousness. I feel like that is another topic for another day, but the universe, you are the universe experiencing itself. You are God's source experiencing itself, and everybody is a aspect of God's source experiencing itself. So that's where we are one. That's where we are a unifying force field or force. I call it unique threads in the tapestry of life. We are all unique souls in the tapestry of creation, but you and your counterpart are one thread. You're one thread in that tapestry, the same thread. Where everybody else is like different threads in the same tapestry of creation, you and your counterpart are that one thread. That is that one flame, just split. So that split is that separation. And the more you understand this journey, the more you ascend on this journey, the more you understand that you are not separate from your counterpart. Now, consciously, the divine feminine understands this. Consciously, as she has, that's been her gift, her blessing, and sometimes even her curse on this journey, because she has had this higher perspective. She has had this innate understanding. That's where she receives her information. That's where she receives her intuitive downloads. She has this higher perspective of how the journey works, and the pieces, and how all the pieces fit together in this gigantic puzzle. And we don't have all the pieces all at once, but we get different pieces. Oh, okay, I understand why this had to happen. I understand what this means. I understand how the journey is unfolding in this way. So we have this conscious understanding, but the second part is embodiment. We can't forget that we're not just spiritual in nature, but we are in physical form. And so part of the journey has also been about balancing that that dualistic nature of physical form and spiritual being. And so sometimes we can get too far into the spiritual, and that becomes spiritual ego. We identify with our spirituality without grounding that into the physical form, because we are physical form. You have an identity. The idea is not to get attached to the identity and to remember that you are more than your identity. But you are allowed to have this identity. That is how you operate in this physical world, in this physical form. We cannot negate the physical world. That is what we're doing on this ascension journey as well, is especially when you're with your partner, that's part of the whole process. You're doing this together, is you are remembering that yes, you are soul, and yes, you are spiritual being, but you are shifting the energy of the collective so that we all remember that we are soul, so that we all remember that we are spiritual beings, so that we all remember that we are divine. That is part of the collective consciousness shift. And so what happens is, don't negate the physical form. The physical form is what we're creating. We're creating this new earth, this new way of being. This new way of being, when you think about Atlantis or when you think about Lemuria, they were very high consciousness, high vibrational beings, high frequency beings in physical form. When they descended, or when the consciousness descended, we forgot about the spiritual nature of us. And that's what waking up is. That's what spiritual awakening is. That's what ascension is. Ascension is just a higher level and a higher consciousness shift of spiritual awakening. It's part of the process. And we go through many awakenings and many layers or levels of ascension throughout our journey. And so it's not negating the physical form, where we take human physical form for a purpose. Our consciousness takes physical form for a purpose. That's part of our growth. That's part of our expansion. It's part of our experience, because when we, again, as the universe experiencing itself, our experience helps the universe to expand, helps God's source to expand and learn and grow and evolve. The universe is constantly evolving. It's in constant evolution. So, and that's through us. So, okay, that's a little bit harder than I wanted to go today. But bringing it back to these sacred partners, your partner is you embodied in another person, in another vessel. And we can consciously understand this, especially for the divine feminines. The masculine is really the physical nature. They are the ones who really, they take the action. They are really physically embodied, physically minded. We need that grounding force. The masculine is a grounding force. I'll put it like this because they're bringing it to me. Since the very beginning of my channel, 3 years ago, my official channel, Susan Dawn Spiritual Connections, my main channel, I should say, I've been channeling that the feminine is like you have all the chakras within you, but the feminine energy kind of resides in the upper chakras, the crown chakra, brow chakra, and the throat chakra. The masculine energy kind of resides within the bottom three chakras, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar plexus chakra. The heart chakra, that fourth chakra, is the bridge. So the masculine energy rises, the feminine energy brings that intuition, the information down. The masculine energy is the one that's very grounded in the physical. Those bottom three chakras are the very physical form, the very physical, tangible, minded energies. They rise. The feminine energy brings that energy or information, intuition down. And you meet in the fourth chakra. You meet on the bridge of the heart in the energy of love, and that just expands outwards then. What's interesting about this is, again, when we think of as above, so below, we think of that so below as Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, which is that feminine energy, right? And we think of as above as that Father God energy, the universal energy, whatever word that you want to call it, that God source energy. It's Mother, Father, God source. So you have the Mother as Mother Earth, you have God source as that universal energy. So what's interesting is you have that balance here as well. You have the bottom three chakras are connected to Mother Earth. So it's the masculine energy connected to Mother Earth. And then you have the feminine energy connected to Father, God source. So it's that wholeness, that oneness, that unity there as well. So that's really interesting. Consider that for a second too. You always have those that polarity. You always have, but it's not polarity as in like duality. It's polarity as in the yin yang. It's a balance as in it's the energy of balance. You always have that balance. So even though the masculine energies reside in the lower three chakras, it's connected to the feminine energy of Mother Earth. Even though the feminine energy kind of resides in the upper three chakras, or I should say is in the realm or rules the realm of the upper three chakras, let's put it that way, the feminine energy is connected to Father God source. So you always have that balance, the balance of the masculine and the feminine energies, the Mother, Father, God source energies that is in all of us. It is not just Father, it's not just Mother, it is the balance. And the Mother and the Father is what creates the third Trinity energy. We've been channeling that since the beginning as well. It's God source, and then the masculine and the feminine that creates this inner union. That the union is the birthing of that third energy. You have a mother and a father and a child. You have that Trinity energy, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. If you're talking about Christianity, you have that Trinity energy in everything. It just is a matter of how we're looking at it. But it's all the Mother and the Father energy is always giving birth to that third energy. So the masculine and the feminine giving birth to that union. So the masculine, where was I? The masculine, bear with me, you guys. The masculine has really been, as we've been channeling, grounding that feminine energy, really rising in that feminine energy. The masculine energy on this planet has been so conditioned and corrupted to suppress the feminine inside of themselves, to the point that they didn't even acknowledge the feminine energy. And that then played out in our physical world, where there was inequality with feminine energy, there was a dishonoring of the feminine energy. You can see that just in history. You can see that just in how particularly female feminine energies are treated. And I'm saying females because that is the best way to articulate visually how it's playing out in our physical world. But if you're a feminine energy and a male, then you might experience this as well. But especially the females, you can see that how it's played out, the suppression and the oppression of the feminine energy, where the feminine energy has not been honored. And it's because the feminine energy within the masculine has been suppressed. It has been oppressed. It has been just persecuted. You see that in any male or any man who has emotions and tries to express their emotions, they get knocked down by society. Why are you crying? Why are you being emotional? Emotions are beautiful. I'm not just saying that as a feminine energy. Emotions are the barometer through which you express yourself. Expression of the self is beautiful because that's vulnerability that builds intimacy, that builds connection, that builds oneness. It is beautiful. It is necessary in order to build bridges, in order to build connections. You have to express yourself, communicate in that vulnerability, in that intimacy, in order to build those bonds and connections with each other. And as you build those bonds and connections with each other, we build that unity consciousness. We help each other, we support each other, we change the world in that way. So on Saturday, I was really feeling the masculine energy just rising. And so I did a reading. I'm going to put all the links in the description box below, so make sure that you're checking them out if you want to see the full readings. There was major heart opening and major expansion. Even if you are not in physical partnership with your counterpart, even if you are in perceived separation, remember, separation is an illusion. You are always one with your counterpart. That's what we're really anchoring in here. Even if you are not in communication with your divine counterpart, you are feeling that love. And that is unconditional love. That is true unconditional love. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So what we had channeled, the most important aspect of that reading was that the masculine is really understanding their emotions, consciously understanding and feeling the connection to their own feminine energy and the feminine energy as their counterpart. They are recognizing the divine feminine, their person, you. They're recognizing you. They are understanding and are consciously aware of this connection, feeling the love that has always been there. It was just programming, it was just patterns, it was just old trauma that was projecting onto you and getting in the way of them seeing correctly, them seeing fully or clearly the love that you have always had with each other, because remember, you're one. And so if you're not loving yourself, you cannot love another. You cannot see the love of another. So they've been going through this process, and what we channeled was that the masculine needs to fully feel his emotions. He's going through this process of a little bit of regret, even though he's feeling so much love for his feminine. He's going through a little bit of regret for how he treated this connection, how he treated himself, and how he treated the divine feminine. A little bit of regret because he needs to move through the process of forgiveness, and that forgiveness is going to be his complete liberation. It's where he might have felt trapped because of old paradigms and templates and other relationships that were perpetuating those patterns, those behaviors, those traumas. What's happening is he is recognizing now that the connection that he has with you is actually freedom. It's liberation, because it's getting him away from those old patterns. It's healing those old traumas. It's shifting those old behaviors, beliefs, and templates. So even though he might have felt like his whole world crumbled and was destroyed within, especially, what he's beginning to understand was when he met you, divine feminine, things had shifted and he wasn't prepared for that shift, but it's because he needed to align to his new and higher self. His soul was calling him to do that. We've channeled that in the past readings as well, even here on Susan Dawn Ascension Connections. So make sure that you're not missing any of the readings. I don't want to repeat as much as I can. So he's recognizing that there is freedom in connection. There is freedom in relationship. That it was just his own beliefs, his old beliefs, his own patterns, perpetuated by pain and trauma, that were kind of blocking him from himself. And divine feminines, you've been through this process yourself, just in a different way. You guys experience the same things. The thing that we have trouble understanding is that it's the same wounding, it's the same trauma, it's the same pain patterns, but you experience it from different angles. That's the reading that I did, and I'm going to make a note to put that link in the description box below as well. That's the reading that we did, both sides. Now it's two sides of the same coin. So the coin's the same, you are the same, your healing's the same, your essence is the same, your wounds are the same, but your experiences might be different. You might be approaching the healing, the process, the ascension from different sides, two sides of the same coin. Okay, so then it was like divine feminine's like, wait a minute, I want to have my say too, because I woke up on Sunday morning then and I'm just like getting music downloads and music downloads and music downloads. And then I had this clarity. I had an experience where, well, you guys might be experiencing this as well. I had this experience where I was speaking to somebody that my divine counterpart knows. And she shared with me, basically a little bit about what my masculine has been up to. We didn't talk about him a whole lot. It was just, she was calling me for support and I was holding space for her and helping her out. But just through the conversation, I was able to gain a little bit of clarity of what's going on with my divine masculine, where I have not been in contact with my divine masculine, but I still feel the love, the union energy. I feel so at peace with our connection because I know that it's still unfolding, and I know that there's always healing and there's always growth. It might just not be with me. The reason why it might not be with me, the reason why your masculine might not be healing physically with you, and my counterpart connection, we have been with each other for 5 years. We have been in physical proximity and relationship for 5 years, healing together and triggering each other. That's the reason why you might not be able to be with your counterpart right now. I've talked about that ad nauseum here on the channel as well. To go back to the past couple of months where we talked about how separation is just realignment, how separation is just you guys going on your individual paths for more healing. It's because what happens is sometimes you can't heal together because the energy is so strong and you would just be perpetuating the same patterns that you're trying to heal, that you're both trying to heal. Remember, two sides of the same coin. So as you're trying to heal your abandonment wound, your counterpart's trying to heal their abandonment wound, and if you're just triggering that abandonment wound in each other, then you can't heal it. So the same thing happens if your counterpart or you are projecting your wound onto each other, then it makes it very difficult to heal. So what I realized was my counterpart is actually healing with all these other people, which is giving me a sense of, okay, good. That way I can heal and do what I need to do in my work. He can heal and do what he needs to do in his work. And that way we can actually come together in more harmony without the projections. So I received a little bit of information about what he's experiencing, but it was through the lens of this other person. And I was just like, you know what? That feels like really old energy. I don't believe that. That's not what I'm feeling within myself about my divine masculine, because she was looking at him as the person that he was in the old energy and not the growth and not the expansion. And that's her own experience. And everybody has their truth, everybody has their experience. But I was not claiming that for mine. I was saying that's an illusion. And for some, you might be experiencing that as some third-party interference or third-party influence where you are being tested as far as what are you going to believe? Are you going to believe the illusion of the 3D? Even though the physical form is very real and we allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel and work through it. Or are you going to trust within yourself? That's part of the working through it. For a friend of mine, a dear soul sister, she had experienced her counterpart being with somebody else, or the illusion of being with somebody else. And so once she decided I'm not going to claim that for myself, once she worked through that energy, it began to shift, or she began to shift inside of herself. So it's very interesting what's happening. So what I channeled was, you just broke yourself free from the matrix of this journey. The divine feminine, by not giving into that influential energy. And it was not malicious at all. It was just this person was reiterating her experience with my divine masculine. And it felt like old energy. And I was just like, you know what, that doesn't feel right. And it wasn't. It wasn't, because what happened was she came back around and she's like, you know what, this is what happened. And I could feel that he's different. And I could feel that I need to be different in order for him to be different, which is very interesting. Didn't say that in so many words, because she's just beginning her awakening journey, but I could see that that's what was happening. And I think a lot of it was because I'm like, I'm not going to claim that energy. I'm not going to create that for him or for us. And so I just held the space and I held the love, and I just came back to the energy of love for my masculine within myself. And that's when I heard, you just broke free from the matrix of this journey. Now, what is the matrix of this journey? The matrix of this journey, I began this reading by saying I'm reclaiming the label of twin flame. Again, it's just a label. Use whatever um, words you choose that makes you feel, good and at peace within yourself, whatever resonates for you. The twin flame label. When we're caught in this journey, we're caught in need, we're caught in desire, we're caught in attachment, we're caught in even obsession, we're caught in bonds, we are caught in cycles of pain, we are caught in focusing outside of ourselves. That is the matrix of the twin flame journey, and that's where we've gotten hijacked by feeling, oh, we have to be with our partner, it has to end in union, it has to be romantic, it has to be this way, it has to be that way. If you're still feeling these are the tenets and these are the blueprints that we have to follow, then you're still caught in the matrix of the journey, because your journey is yours. Even though the blueprint and the collective might feel familiar and might resonate with you, it resonates with you only to the point where you are recognizing yourself in the journey or yourself in another's journey. But you don't claim it for your own unless it feels like your truth. Again, we're going to talk about that in a little bit later. But if you are just perpetuating the focus on the other person, on your counterpart, what are they doing? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? Then you are just keeping yourself caught in the energy of, again, the matrix of this journey. You're getting yourself caught in these cycles. You write your own blueprint. We are the way showers. We are the forefront of this revolution of new connection, of spiritual connection, of sacred connection and partnership. And so, in essence, we are learning how to break free from the old template of relationship and what that looks like. You and your partner are here on the ascension journey to help each other to ascend, to help each other to grow and expand in the energy of unconditional love. That is what you hold for each other, unconditional love. But if you're still caught up in it has to be this way, it has to be that way, it has to look this way. And I've been there myself. The first year of my journey was the hardest because I was still trying to apply the old rules or the old templates of what relationships should look like into my connection, not understanding that I just needed to surrender and let it unfold and let it flow and claim myself back. That's what I've been doing on this ascension journey. That's what we've, as divine feminines, have been doing on this ascension journey, claiming ourselves back. Divine masculines in their own way, but I'm speaking to the divine feminines now. You have been claiming your place. You have been claiming your self-mastery, your self-empowerment, your sovereignty. You have been rising in yourself, where you're not worried about what other people are doing. You're not worried about what other people are thinking, because you are so fully embracing and embodying your own sacred self. You are recognizing your divinity. You are recognizing your magic. You're recognizing your power, not as something outside of yourself, but through your own connection to yourself and your connection to God's source. So the more you have been claiming that for yourself, the more you have been anchoring in that inner union and claiming that union with your partner. Now, when I say that it's not by the old templates of what relationships need to go by, you know that society has certain programs or has certain stipulations of you need to, date and then get engaged and then get married and then move in together or whatever this is, or and have kids, has certain rules, has certain timelines, or it has certain expectations. That's what you are deviating from. You are learning to live your life according to your morals, your values, what resonates as your truth. And you and your divine counterpart are actually making that decision as one together. It might not always look it in the 3D. You might sometimes question, why is your divine masculine doing the things that he's doing? But the more that you are trusting yourself, the more you are following your intuition and following your joy and your journey, the more that you realize that you're coming together and making the same decisions on the core essence, on the higher level with your divine counterpart. So, relationship is what you choose. If you choose to be with your divine counterpart as a romantic relationship, that will be a choice. If you choose a business partnership, if you choose just friendships, and you want instead to have a soulmate connection, that is your choice. That is your free will. There is free will on this journey. It is your choice, but then recognize too that your counterpart and you are making the same core decision. So it is whatever it is that you make it, but you feel it within your heart. You know what you desire. You don't have those desires without reason. You don't have those desires without a purpose. If you want to be with your divine counterpart in relationship, you can be. but you also have to be very accepting and honoring of where you both are on the journey. It's not forcing, it's not controlling, it's not trying to fix it, it's not trying to manage it. That's where you're releasing the matrix journey. By you focusing on your journey, you focusing on what brings me great joy, that's where you are coming into union. And your partner will naturally align with you. Naturally align with you. But you have to release the expectation, you have to release the attachment, and you still have the belief, but you release the attachment to that belief. You release the attachment to that belief to allow whatever it is that wants to come in. You trust what is unfolding. We're at a point in time, Divine Feminines, where we are not allowed to see fully how it's unfolding or what's coming in. I've been getting this split in the collective quite a while now. For some, it is time for you to be with your divine counterpart. For others, it's time for soulmates and other partnerships to come in to teach you more about receiving unconditional love rather than overgiving in that unconditional love. It's going to resonate with everybody a little bit different. All you have to do is just trust that whatever is meant for you is what you want, and that it is aligned to you. And not to claim unwanted energy or any energy that doesn't resonate with you. Any energy, especially energy of the past, that doesn't resonate with you anymore. So you're anchoring in the present and you're anchoring in a new version of you. And also, I want to mention this because I have it in my notes. Your job as a divine feminine is to heal, to grow, to expand in light, joy, and love. Now, that's not negating the wild feminine or the dark feminine inside of you. You are chaos. You are this storm of beautiful emotion and intuition and magic inside of you, divine feminines. I'm not talking about divine masculines here. If you're a divine masculine, we'll talk about you in another video. You guys have your own magic. You have your own, maybe someday a divine masculine will talk about it as well. I'm welcoming the divine masculine to talk about it as well. But you divine feminines, that is your job. Even as the dark feminine, the darkness is something that we embrace. It's the chaos. It's a Kali Ma energy. Kali Ma is my favorite goddess. I connect with her so fully. I've been connecting with her especially for the past 6 months. She is the goddess she's a mother goddess, first of all. She's the divine mother, but she is also the goddess of chaos and destruction. But what I love about her is there is a fierce, feral, and warrior-like energy about her. And what she says, and she's in here now, she's saying, what I am about is not the destruction, but the creation that comes from the destruction. Because what I'm doing is I'm burning away anything that is not in alignment with love. That is your truest and highest self. Love is your truest and highest self. And so she is burning away anything that is not in alignment with your truest and highest self. The ego doesn't like that. The ego just sees the destruction. But if you have faith in yourself, if you trust the process, if you trust the energy and the magic and the power of yourself, you will see what is being created from that destruction. It's what we channeled I think it was a Kali Ma video a couple of months ago, where it might feel like your whole world is turning upside down and inside out. It might feel like your whole world is crumbling, but it's only because that physical world that you had created was based on an old version of yourself. It was based on an old energy. And as you're anchoring into a new energy, your world naturally has to shift. Your physical world naturally has to change. Maybe that's a new career or job that's in higher alignment. Maybe that's more finances to reflect your new abundance, your new energy of abundance. Maybe that's higher relationships because you're in a new frequency, and so old relationships that just don't feel good or just are perpetuating pain need to fade out in order for you to align to the frequency of relationships that uplift you and feel more loving. That is part of your growth. That is part of your transformation. There has to be destruction in order for there to be creation. It's the cycle of nature. There has to be decay in order for there to be rebirth. And what's decaying is the old version, the old world, the old energy. So, that being said, something else that I just channeled this today, is that it's a misconception. Again, we're reclaiming that twin flame energy because there's been so many misconceptions here that keeps us trapped in this matrix, that keeps us trapped in the journey. And when I say in the journey, it's remembering that, again, the journey is not a destination. Union is not a destination. Union is not something to attain. Union is always within you. Union is always within you. You already are in union. We have been channeling that for months, even the past year. You are already always in union. You're just removing the illusions of separation, the illusion that you're not. And you can really feel this, or you will be feeling this, really anchor in and in a new way. For me personally, I am feeling my divine masculine just so peaceful, so loving, and I'm allowing myself to receive that love. I don't need to take action. I don't need to contact him. I don't need to see how he's doing. I can just trust and believe and that he's on his journey and he's learning whatever he needs to learn and he's experiencing whatever his soul, whatever he decides that he needs to experience as I'm working on my part. It's the garden analogy that we've been giving a lot. It's you are one garden. You and your divine counterpart are one garden. He's working on his side, you're working on your side, and soon you'll step back and you'll see, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful garden that we've created together. That is union, that is that harmony energy. You are in that energy, you're just not recognizing it yet. And so, if you're too focused on what he's doing, you're neglecting yourself, you're abandoning your part of the garden. It never comes to fruition, it never comes to full harvest, it never comes to full bloom. So, that's where you're stepping back and really enjoying your journey, whatever that means for you. You're finding your passions, you're finding direction, you're finding your purpose. You are socializing, you are just embodying love and joy. You are just embodying yourself, your highest self. So, when we talk about the divine masculine and the divine feminine, in the beginning, we talk about the runner and the chaser energy. It's a misconception that there is a runner and there is a chaser because you are both one energy. Again, you're one energy. We tend to think that the divine masculine is the runner, the divine feminine is the chaser, but you have both been the runner and the chaser in some ways. I remember a time when my divine masculine and I, before we were activated to Ascension, when we were catching up because we were old schoolmates in elementary school, that's when we met. And then it wasn't until many, many, many years later that we reconnected through social media. And I remember saying, you know what? I'm really liking you. I think I'm going to pull back. I remember specifically saying that to him. I think I'm going to pull back because I'm starting to like you. And I think that I need to just, temper that. And he was just like, okay. That's where I was the runner. That's where I was rejecting myself. I wasn't ready. Divine Masculine has experienced that too, where it was like the energy between you guys became so intense, the recognizing the love, maybe not recognizing it as love, but feeling it, and so they pull back because it's not ready, it's not time. You both still have some learning to do, and sometimes you go in separation, perceived separation, which means sometimes you go into non-communication, sometimes you just go about living your lives even though you're feeling the energy of each other, especially when you're activated to Ascension. You have dreams about each other, you have synchronicities, you feel the energy of each other, and sometimes, like my experience, was you are healing together. But still, you're not in that full harmony, you're not in that full partnership because there are still things that need to be healed. There are still illusions that need to be broken. There are still patterns that need to shift. Your consciousness around certain beliefs or certain understandings need to shift. You need to shift into a higher frequency. So that's the process, that's the divine unfolding. It is the journey, not the destination. You're always in union, you are just remembering that. And part of the process of ascension is that remembrance. So, in essence, even though you think the divine masculine is the runner and you're the chaser, essentially all you're doing is chasing after yourself because your divine masculine is not outside of yourself. Let me say that again. Your divine masculine is not outside of yourself. And when you consciously know this on your journey, but when you fully anchor this in, you recognize that you don't need your divine masculine next to you in the physical. You don't need to be talking to them. You don't need to be thinking about them, even though they're always in your energy field, they're always in the back of your mind because they're always in your heart. They are part of you. You can't help but have them be a part of you. That is this connection. It's not just a connection. This is you guys as the same soul essence. We need to understand and really embrace and embody that and really feel that you guys are the same soul essence. And if you have doubt about that, the ego is going to doubt always. The ego, you're going to go through this process of doubt. But if it doesn't feel like your truth, then sit with that and be radically honest with yourself about your connection. But if you are radically honest with yourself about your connection, then you really truly feel that you guys are the same soul essence, and you don't need them around you. You don't need them as part of your life. You can recognize that no matter where they are in the world, you still feel them and you still love them, and you're always still in union. So, what's happening with that is they are the polarity. You're recognizing that they are the polarity. They're just showcasing the opposite of you in order for you guys to recognize that and transcend that duality. So when we are perceiving pain, it's because we're not in alignment with ourselves, especially when we're perceiving them to be running from us. It's because we're running from ourselves. It's because we're rejecting a part of ourselves. We're abandoning a part of ourselves. But when we come into that wholeness with ourselves, recognizing, I don't need to seek outside of myself for anything. When you recognize that, you really anchor into the peace. And when you anchor into the peace, there's no more room for pain. Okay. I haven't been feeling well lately, and so I almost didn't do this channeling. I really wanted to, but I almost didn't do this because I just need to really take care of my health. But this felt really good. This felt really, really good. I am going to be hosting a twin flame course or workshop in July. I'm going to take this month I'm almost fully booked for this month. I have readings, client sessions. So if you want to book with me, make sure that you are reaching out now. And I'm going to take a little bit of a vacation. And then in July, I will be back with meditations, a healing series, and the Twin Flame workshop. So stay tuned for July. I know I've been saying the workshop's coming, the workshop's coming. It is coming. I've been having trouble with everything going on in my own health, trying to figure out where or when to have it, what date to have it. It's going to be online. But it is coming. I promise you guys, we're going to be talking about all of this. I feel like I need to gain more understanding this and really anchor in this energy in order to fully be able to articulate the journey and channel for you guys what is a twin flame. Twin flame truths is what we're calling it. So really understanding sacred partnerships, really understanding the journey. So make sure that you guys subscribe to my newsletter on my website, and make sure that you're subscribed to me on both of my channels, Instagram, Facebook, wherever social media platform you prefer, because I will always have those announcements there. Okay, this is the last thing that I wanted to recap. I'm actually going to read it. Yesterday, I had channeled some information and I posted it as a collective message yesterday, but I'm going to read it here because that way it's, all together. So I'm going to read this to you. This is the channeling that I had done. One of the main things we learn on this journey is how to trust ourselves. That circumvents every other lesson because it's the core and crux of our experience, which is learning to listen to and trust ourselves. This means honoring your truth over any reader or any healer, including myself or anyone. You've already reached the truth of yourself. At the very least, you've seen glimpses of it through your awakening or even just through your life experiences. The more you trust that, the more easily and joyfully your journey is going to flow. That's the peace that we're talking about, because you're not perpetuating the pain. This doesn't mean trusting the ego. Ego serves its purpose in this physical experience, but that ego is derived from subconscious patterns and programming. Now, what I'm talking about is the heart, the intuition, the soul self, the very core of your being, the very essence of who you are before doubt or fear or influence overshadowed it. The only thing you can control is yourself. When it comes to sacred partners, it doesn't matter what they're doing, who they're with, or whatever else Life Solutions is trying to show you. Trust in yourself and your own knowing. That's what I was talking about earlier. Trust in yourself and your own knowing over what anybody's saying, over what anybody's doing, including what your divine counterpart might be showing you yourself. That's the only thing that you're responsible for. The only thing that you can control is yourself. So ask yourself this: does it matter what my divine counterpart is doing? Does it affect my love for him? The answer is no, because otherwise that's placing a condition on love, and we're here to learn, understand, and experience unconditional love. If you're saying, I'm only going to love him if he's not with somebody else, well, that's a condition. If you're saying, If he's single again, well, that's when I'll love him. That's a condition. If you're saying, I'm only going to love him if he's reciprocating communication, if he's talking to me, that's a condition. You have to trust the knowing in your heart. And it takes being radically honest with yourself. And when you're in these sacred partnerships, you understand that no matter what, your soul is still honoring each other. Your soul is still honoring his soul. Your heart is still honoring his heart. So that's not to say that this is a caveat here. That's not to say that you have to accept their actions and their behaviors in your life. That's where you hold unconditional love for yourself first and foremost. That's where you honor yourself. You have every single right to say, hey, if you're with somebody else, or if you're partaking in drugs or alcohol or poor behaviors or hurtful behaviors or any actions that don't align with my values or what I desire for my life, you don't have to be in my life. That is your prerogative. That is your right, because it is your life too. Claim your life. This is your journey, your life experience too. You do not give the power away to anybody else, including your divine counterpart, just as they should not be doing the same to you. That should be mutual reciprocity. It should be mutual trust, mutual belief, and mutual love. So it's hard. It's hard for people pleasers because we have so much deep-seated love for them. But again, that's not where you overgive or overextend yourself in the name of love. That's not unconditional love. That is just sacrifice. Unconditional love is having healthy boundaries. It is accepting where another person is and honoring where they are, but while also not abandoning yourself, betraying yourself, or dishonoring yourself in the process. Okay, so you know who we have to have more love for? Yep, you guessed it, ourselves. It's saying, I'm going to honor myself while still loving you, even though our journeys are not aligning right now. Again, we cannot put our power, our strength, our magic outside of ourselves, especially in another. We're not here for that. We're here to love and support the magic that is inside each of us, and that starts with believing and trusting in ourselves. This journey of ascension can be really challenging when we're walking the sacred union path, that is, in partnership with another. It's because you're ascending with a partner, with someone that you love with all of your being, that you can feel energetically with you. That someone is you in essence. But just as you have to grow and expand in sacredness and love, recognizing your divinity, so does your person. And so that's where you have to allow them their journey and honor them for it without controlling it or trying to fix it or trying to heal it, as much as you would want them to do the same for us. It's very frustrating for the divine feminine, especially because she sees the higher picture. She sees all the puzzle pieces, and she sees how the connection plays out and how it's falling into place, or how it could fall into place in more harmony and love. But the divine masculine has their own gifts, and the divine masculine knows that they have to be part of the process, or they are part of the process as well, and that they have to go through their own journey in order to recognize their magic and their power and their belief in themselves in order to come to the table. That's the thing. You both come to the table with something. And if either of you are not coming to the table with something, it's like a potluck. You know, it's not one person that's cooking everything, all the meal. You're both bringing something to the table to enjoy the experience, to enjoy the relationship, to enjoy the sacred partnership. So your person has to go on their own journey as well, and you have to accept and honor that, just as you have to focus on your journey and accept and honor yourself. So don't attach yourself to stories. Recognize that life itself is a story, and you get to write it. You get to write your own. You get to create it. I'm a writer in my other life, in my other career. One thing I've learned from writing my books is that they have a flow of their own, and no amount of planning or plotting, because I can't do either, can make up for the beauty that happens when I let the characters tell their story, and chart their own path. It's funny. There was a time when I was writing my latest book, East of Everywhere, where I wanted the character named Brayden to be the love interest. And as I'm writing, he's turning out to be the little brother. And I'm like, no, he's a love interest. I named him Brayden to be the love interest. And the character's like, nope, I'm going to be the brother. I'm going to be the little brother. The character didn't have a little brother at the time. I didn't want her to have a little brother. It wasn't about that. But all of a sudden, this character pops up and he's like, hey, I'm the little brother. Here's the love interest, but I'm going to be the little brother. And here's how that's going to play out. And once I trusted that, once I trusted the flow of that, it all fell into place. And that's what life is about. It's letting every character, including yourself as the main character in your own life, your counterpart's the main character in their life, this person over here is the main character in their life. It's letting all the characters of life tell their story and chart their own path as and that's how the absolute magic unfolds. And when I read my books back, I can see how that magic unfolded and how it all came together in the end. That is when I trusted myself and didn't try to mindfully plot anything. Because if I mindfully tried to plot anything, then it would all fall apart. But when I just follow my intuition when I'm writing my books, it just somehow all aligns and it all comes together. And I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, that just wrapped up this plot. Or oh my gosh, that just helped out this character out of this solution. That's part of trusting. That's part of letting everything divinely unfold. So go within yourself and your heart for what you believe is true. Hold that belief without the attachment. Like I channeled on YouTube in the readings that are in the description box, you're freeing yourself from the matrix of this journey, what you think it's supposed to look like, how do you think it's supposed to be. It's not about reward, it's not about a destination. Sacred union is already within you. Don't get too far ahead of yourself. Bring yourself back to your own presence. All that is there is right here already. You're truly not lacking everything. All right, you guys. We will be back soon-ish. I'm definitely going to have some more light language transmissions, so stay tuned for that. And we'll be back with some more channelings as they come. I'm sending you guys so much love, so much light, and we'll see you next time. Bye.